Welcome to Music Over Matter. Today we are doing our top 10 favorite albums of all time.
The one thing that's important with music is that music really relies on what you heard and what you grew up in, what you grew up on. That being said, we have lived together our entire lives, so we're going to have some duplicates, I'm sure, and you're going to see, I guess, our taste. It's important as music reviewers here that you as the viewer see why we pick certain things or what our music taste is so that you can kind of get some perspective on our individual tastes. Let's get going. What's your top 10? Number 10.
My number 10 is Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone. We had a whole reaction on the channel up there. This album is less about the concept for me or the sound, but it's the memories that come with it. Yeah. Even though this album sounds amazing. It's such an amazing album, but it's more of the memories that come with it because we listened to it during our Hawaii trip. It was like the only thing we listened to for the whole time. Yeah. And it's just so much memories to it. Literally just like chilling at home, listening to it. Yeah. In the morning, listen to it. Oh.
Yeah, if you want to get our full, I guess, explanation about Beer Bongs and Bentleys, you can watch the reaction. That album's phenomenal. What the real takeaway is, like we mentioned in that video, the real takeaway from it, Post Malone was making absolute hits and bangers without trying. It seemed effortless.
There's so many like radio hits on there without
trying, and then there's so many low key that are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely valid to have on the list. My number 10, I'm surprised it was on here, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't realize it was in my top 10, but when I was starting to kind of write it out, I'm like, holy shit, this is actually top 10. All right. Number 10 is Relapse.
By Eminem.
Yeah. I love Relapse. The dark production, the best production Eminem's ever had.
By far.
But Eminem is crazy on this album, and for some reason, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this. I don't know why, but I listen to the album and it kind of calms me. I might be an absolute freak.
Yeah, I think it might be because Eminem is okay, or something like that.
Maybe.
Because like he's like acting crazy, but he's off the pills.
Maybe. There's the crazy tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Like the unbelievably like, holy shit. But then there's other ones like Deja Vu and Beautiful, which are some of Eminem's most emotional songs. It's different than Eminem's ever made. Nobody's ever made an album that sounds like Relapse since, and no one ever will. I don't think it's possible. That's number 10, Relapse. The thing we should mention before we move on, at the end we'll go over our honorable mentions as well. Yeah. Because trying to make a top 10 album list is impossible. And I mean that. So there's a few that like could easily be in there but aren't. So we'll talk about that as well. Yeah. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is Astroworld by Travis Scott.
All right.
I absolutely love the production on here. It's such an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Going from each track to each track actually feels like a roller coaster.
Yep.
You get high points, you get low points. Not musically,
sound-wise.
Sound-wise, you get some of my favorite tracks on there ever. Houston Fornication, Astro Thunder, Skeletons.
Yep.
Oh my god, it's such a good album.
You have Screw.
Yeah, you got Stargazing, such an amazing intro. Coffee Bean, such an amazing outro.
Yep.
I've been listening to hip hop like on my own terms since like 2015. 2018 is when I started like paying attention to music, I feel like.
I can see that. Yeah, I think you hit a point at like some point in your life where you start listening to albums when they drop. You start paying attention. For us, it's Thursday nights because we're West Coast. At 9 p.m. tonight, there's going to be this album that comes out from this person that we're learning about a little bit. You're not just listening to them like they're just the artist. You know what I mean?
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I also feel like musically too, you start understanding it more.
Yeah.
It's like, this sounds good. But now you're thinking, okay, this sounds good. Why do I like it?
Yeah.
More like. And I feel like Astroworld kind of hit me with that.
Yeah. And you didn't even mention one of the greatest listening experiences ever, Sicko Mode on first listen.
Yeah.
We can only hope Utopia even comes close to Astroworld. I'm not going in with any expectations, but if it can even get close to Astroworld's listening experience, I'm in. My number 9 is Man on the Moon 2. Phenomenal cover to start. One of the greatest covers ever. Like, bro, come on now. It has one of the greatest intros ever. Intro track, Scott Mez Cudi versus the World.
Yeah.
Phenomenal intro track. Man on the Moon 2, the vibe, the entire just atmosphere of it, the world building. Holy shit. It just goes into Kid Cudi's influence. No one made music like him at the beginning.
Yeah.
And no one still does, I don't think. It has some of my favorite tracks ever on it. Mojo's so dope. You got Marijuana. You got Mr. Rager.
Yeah.
Ghost. So many good tracks.
Yeah.
The only thing that stops Man on the Moon from being like unbelievably phenomenal is the highs on the album. Very high. Some of the highest ever in terms of track highs. But it also has a couple lows that are deep abyss lows.
Yeah.
Like We I.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna skip it, but like it's not good. Wildin' Cause I'm Young.
Yeah.
Like those tracks. But the highs make up for it for me.
For my number 8, I have Man on the Moon 2.
Okay.
So we kind of just explained it.
Yeah.
But I'll just go over some of my favorite. I love Mr. Rager. That's probably my favorite Kid Cudi song of all time. Moto So Dope is up there too. But you have Trapped in My Mind.
Yeah.
You have All Along. Like that album and most of Kid Cudi's music. And we'll explain it later on too. It flips something in my brain. It like changes how I look at the world.
Yep, I agree. That's what makes albums top 10 for me, is they changed my perspective or changed how I look at things or affected actual situations in my life.
Yeah.
So that was your number 8. We have this, I was 9, 8. So my 8 is To Pimp a Butterfly. Holy shit, To Pimp a Butterfly. We
kind of low.
Yeah, true. Yeah, whatever. We don't have to talk much about it because honestly, everything that you can say about To Pimp a Butterfly is already there. The jazz influence, phenomenal.
Yeah, amazing production.
And I think the thing that has to be mentioned for us personally, due to, is just because we can't necessarily relate deeply to it in a actual personal sense, we can understand to an extent and empathize with it.
Yeah.
But To Pimp a Butterfly also has way deeper meanings than just like black history and black trauma. Like To Pimp a Butterfly goes way deeper than that. There's stuff that I can relate to on To Pimp a Butterfly as well. But sonically, one of the best albums ever. Has one of the greatest intro tracks of all time, Wesley's Theory.
Yeah.
Has hits like King Kunta, All Right. Phenomenal album. And it's just a great listening experience. You sit down and you listen to the entire joint. You know what? You ain't skipping. You aren't stopping until you're done. You can't. It's sacrilege.
Yeah.
Be sure to subscribe to the musicovermatter channel for more lists and hip-hop tomfoolery. Let's get back to it. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Yeezus by Kanye West.
Okay.
This is my favorite Kanye West album, and me saying that, you know, Yeezus is going to be my only Kanye on this top 10. I love the production on there, how it's so industrial. The thing about Yeezus, though, that I feel like it connects, like some people don't like it. I understand it. It's just not for them. But I love how like grimy and industrial it is, but it's also such a beautiful album too.
Yeah.
Like there's emotion with it. For example, you have On Sight as the first track, but Bound 2 as the last. In tracks themselves, you have different moods. For Guilt Trip, you have this hard-ass Kanye verse, but at the end you have Kid Cudi singing, like such an amazing like refrain. But then also Hold My Liquor, you have such a crazy Kanye verse, and then Bon Iver sings. It's such a crazy album. I love the production on there. I think that's the high point for the album for me. Like, I mean, Kanye is kind of in that, he's kind of in that bling era, sorta, but like late to it.
Well, maybe. He's also just like in a haze almost. Like he's kind of crazy.
That's true. That's actually a good.
He's kind of going nuts.
He's in a haze.
And I mean, tracks like I Am a God show that. Like,
just like egotistical stuff like that.
But I think that's what makes the album so good. It shows like a human emotion. Love, hate. Emotions that drive you as a human. Yeah. Whether you like to admit it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, such a good album. Oh my God, I love Yeezus so much.
Speaking of Kanye West, my number 7 is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This is my favorite Kanye album, so there's not going to be
no more Kanye.
No more Kanye. But My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, here's the thing, right? I don't love every track. Lost in the World, sure. Blame Game. Yeah. But the highs on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy can't be disrespected. Yeah. It has some of, if not the highest highs on an album ever. It has Runaway, which some people consider the greatest hip-hop song of all time. Followed by what I think is probably one of the best. Yeah. Devil in a New Dress. Yeah. Those are back-to-back on the track list.
I mean, just talking about Kanye, you gotta talk about production, because like every album is crazy. Like Devil in a New Dress is one of the best hip-hop beats ever.
Yeah. Devil in a New Dress is disgusting.
It's such a good song.
But then you have like Dark Fantasy as well. Oh, I didn't even mention So Appalled.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Kanye songs ever. Everyone's verse is nuts on there. Jay-Z, live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah.
That's that bar. Kanye has a good verse, but Sci-Hi's verse, the highs cannot be disrespected. You know what I mean? I like the album quite a bit.
Yeah, you like the album. I've grown colder to that album as time passes. Like, I have Yeezus as my favorite Kanye West album. Ask me 2 years ago, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy would have been my favorite ever.
Yeah.
But I just gone cold to that album.
Fair enough. All right, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Man on the Moon 1 by Kid Cudi. Do you have that on your list?
My number 6 is Man on the Moon 1 by Kid Cudi. So yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have it. All right, same spot. It absolutely changed the landscape of hip-hop.
Yeah.
It birthed emo hip-hop and also kind of birthed the trap lane with it, even though it's not trap.
Yeah. It also changed what people think they could talk about on a hip-hop song. Nobody was going to talk about what he talked about on Day and Night until Day and Night came out.
Or Soundtrack to My Life.
Yeah. What a phenomenal album.
Yeah, it's such a... it's so emotional.
Yeah, it sits with me and, like, genuinely, like, changes my mood when I listen to it.
Yeah. And also it changed how I think.
Yeah, it genuinely changed me.
Yeah.
And changes me every time I listen to it. Like, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll listen to that, and it'll literally make me feel better.
Yeah.
Not kidding. It also has one of the craziest track runs. Some of my favorite songs ever on it as well. I'm going to read it. We already mentioned Soundtrack to My Life. You have Day and Night. Pursuit of Happiness, that sort of thing. Listen to this freaking track list, bro. More than half the album in a row. Solo Dolo. Heart of a Lion, one of my favorite songs ever. My World, one of my favorite songs ever. Day and Night. Sky Might Fall. Intergalactic. Phenomenal love song.
Yeah.
Alive, we didn't even mention Alive. Alive is just euphoric.
Yeah.
Cudi Zone, pretty good. Make Her Say, and Pursuit of Happiness. Those are in a row. 10-track run. That is unparalleled, I think.
I love that album so much. It's hard to explain, but I feel like everyone gets something out of that album. Everyone gets something different out of that album.
And the album cover's hard.
Yeah.
What's your number 5? Halfway through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had number 6 as the same.
Yep.
So my number 5 is To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. We already explained it, but I'll go over a few of my favorite tracks on there. You have How Much a Dollar Cost, which is my favorite Kendrick song of all time. You have Mama, which is also one of my favorite. You have All Right. Everyone loves that song.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
It's just everyone knows it's a fucking classic.
Yeah, I mean we can't talk about much because what hasn't been said.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Beer Bongs and Bentleys.
All right.
Beer Bongs and Bentleys, like I said, if you want to go watch our actual breakdown and like really see how we feel about it, just go watch the video. I just have memories for every single track on this album. I love this album. It is summer to me. It's just a fantastic album.
Yeah.
So many different emotions, so much. God damn it. Looking at this though, it's going to be hard to ever break my top 5. Anyways, top 4. What's yours? Number 4?
My number 4 is Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
I had to put these next to each other because To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid are just like so interchangeable too on how I'm feeling. But I think I do like Good Kid more just because the storytelling on there, it shows where Kendrick is from. Like just how the story progresses through the whole thing, and there's so much emotion on songs like Real, Can't Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. But then you also have Money Trees on there.
Yeah.
Swimming Pools.
Bangers.
Shireen. Such an amazing intro. Oh my god, I love that album so much. I listen to it like at least once a week or even more. Because I hear one song on it and I'm like, I gotta listen to the whole thing. I gotta get the story. It's a movie. It's a fucking movie and an album.
I need to re-listen to it. I haven't listened to it in a very long time.
You don't have it on your list.
No. I don't listen to it much. I love the singles on it. I just don't listen to it much. So I think I have to go back and listen to it, to be honest with you. Number 4 for me, House of Balloons by The Weeknd. There's something about House of Balloons. Another album will never be able to do what House of Balloons does. The atmosphere and world building of House of Balloons, the dark production. Holy shit, dude. It's so hard for me to explain House of Balloons. You got High for This, a fantastic production piece. Holy shit, the production on that track. You have House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls. You got The Morning, The Party, The After Party. I can keep going. But then you got like some of the most emotional cuts in a song I've ever heard. Like Coming Down, The Knowing. Holy shit. Yeah. And the fact that the House of Balloons is a real place. And knowing once... Like, The Weeknd used to be mysterious. You had no idea who he was. Now everyone knows who he is. And everyone knows his life story. Knowing the state of his life he was in when that album was made is just, it just adds to it so much. Like, holy shit, this motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like an album like that can't be made nowadays. One, it's like really fucking dark. It's like extremely dark compared to the music that we get nowadays. But how self-indulgent that album is.
Yeah.
You don't hear that anymore.
I don't think anyone wants to even tap into that.
Yeah.
Because The Weeknd is a complete fucking douchebag. His earlier works, he's an actual piece of shit, dude. And I don't think anyone wants to admit that to themselves. That's what makes The Weeknd's music so good to me, but especially House of Balloons. He's okay with being a piece of shit. Yeah. Like, he's not trying to avoid it. Yeah. He wants it. All right, what's your number 3? We're top 3 now.
Top this is 3 crazy. Of all time. My number 3 is IGOR by Tyler, the Creator. When this album dropped, it literally got me through my end of high school. Yeah. It was such an amazing album. And no one can make an album like IGOR. There's too much emotion with it, and just the sound in general is so unique that when you heard it, you've heard nothing like that, and you haven't heard anything since.
And you will never hear anything like IGOR.
And the story is absolutely amazing on there. I like how you have features on there, but they're less of a I'll give me a verse type thing to it. Yeah. But they're just in the background.
The only one that's really a verse is Cudi.
But he's still in the background because he's so, you can't understand a fucking word he's saying that that he is part of the music. Yeah. And so is Tyler. Tyler is part of the music. He pitches up his voice, lowers his voice to be in line with the music. Yeah.
Tyler is an instrument. That's why I don't think anyone will ever be able to do what Tyler did, because no one can make their voice an instrument like Tyler did.
Yeah. Like, another person who has a verse is Kanye on Puppet, but he is so buried in the mix of it. It has a short verse too that he's just also part of the music. Yeah, you have some songs on there just that flipped a switch for me. Like, Puppet is one of those songs that flipped a switch. I like how someone explained it to Tyler that, he's talking about someone on there. But you can also say that for drugs. Yeah. It's like drugs or any addictive thing that, like, you're my puppet, you control me. Yeah. Stuff like that. You also have my favorite Tyler song ever on there, Gone, Gone, Thank You.
The best Tyler song.
Which literally shows someone falling out of love, pretty much. You have Gone, Gone, which he's like, my love's gone. But then Thank You is such a amazing last half. I'm literally fucking getting goosebumps talking about it. Such an amazing last half that it's like, oh, my love's gone, but at least I had it. Yeah. At least it was there.
It's crazy how that album is just so happy sounding and so dark.
But that's how you feel too. That's how you feel. You feel like you're in a dark place, but you're happy about it.
Yeah, true.
It's I don't know. It's
it taps into human emotion. Yeah. The song that always sticks out to me production-wise is I Think. The drums, like the jungle beat, bro. The Tarzan type beat is crazy on I Think. Yeah. I will never forget listening to that song on like my drive. The fuck?
Stop, bro.
On my drive to school one day. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
And another song that I want to bring up, I think it's on I Don't Love You Anymore. There's just that one part, which I love, just the word in general, is forever. Something like stuck with me there, where he's like, forever and ever and ever. And then Charlie Wilson comes in. Yep. Charlie Wilson has a big part of that album too, which he just has these random refrains that just go stupid. Oh. I can talk about IGOR for fucking hours. Yeah, but I love that album so much.
All right, my number 3 is Taboo. Like you mentioned earlier with the 2018 like clicky in your brain thing. Yeah, that was me with Clout Cobain. I heard Clout Cobain on a YouTube video. Holy shit, dude! As soon as I saw Denzel in the clown makeup and seeing Clout Cobain, something clicked in me and said, you gotta listen to this full album. Don't know how or why. I don't know why. Up until that point, nothing's ever made me do that.
That's how powerful an album cover is.
Like that entire image, right? Yeah. Like it was the Clout Cobain music video, so I saw him in the paint. That made me go listen to the album. The concept of Taboo, I haven't seen an album do what he did. Yeah. 3 discs, going more into darkness. Taboo's the only, I mean, you can see it in the earlier videos I wore one week, was I have a Taboo shirt. That's the only artist merch I've ever bought. Yeah. There's some absolute bangers on there, like the intro track Taboo. You got Black Balloons. You know, you got Sumo. Then you go into Clout Cobain. You got Deeper. You got Blackest Balloon. Vengeance. Perks. Oh my. Super Saiyan Superman. Oh my god, bro. Taboo just hits someplace for me. You said it with Yeezus. Yeah. It's a dark album and like grimy, but it's like beautiful.
It's a beautiful album.
It is crazy. And you also mentioned it just now, was the entire imagery around Taboo is just phenomenal. That album cover is one of the hardest album covers I've ever seen. Still,
like I said on Yeezus, for like something like Guilt Trip, you have something like Vengeance, where hard beat, but then it goes into that singing outro.
Yep.
That it's like, it's just so beautiful.
The other thing about Vengeance that I want to mention is it has Peggy and Zilla Kami on it. And that's the first time I ever heard their type of music.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that type of music existed to that point, to be honest with you. Like that unbelievably dark and like experimental stuff. So like hearing Peggy and Zilla Kami's voice, I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was so hard to me at the time. Still is hard. Vengeance is incredible. Like Igor, I could talk about Taboo forever. So what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Kids See Ghosts.
Yep.
Look at it. Look at that cover. We also explained a lot of this album in our reaction that we just did the other day. Since 2018, I've been bumping this album continuously. There hasn't been maybe 1 week where I don't go and listen to it. I love emotional albums like these where an artist literally just sits down, like spills out all their emotions, like something so angry, like Feel the Love. Even though Kanye doesn't have a verse, he has that like
gunshot. Yeah,
the gunshots. And Pusha T just sounds angry on there too. But then Cudi's in the background. I can still feel the love. Like it's two different energies on one track between them two. But then later on you have Reborn, which is one of the most powerful songs I've ever heard. Changed the way I think.
Yep.
I love songs that change the way you think. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
And then, oh my god, it's such a good album. Free also changed the way I think almost every single song on that album changed the way I think.
If you want to listen to our full deep dive into Kids See Ghosts and what we think of each track and why we like it a lot, just go watch the full video. But
it's so hard to explain.
One of the best produced ever, if not the best ever, produced wise.
I
mean, it's just a phenomenal album. Holy shit. All right, my number 2 is The Eminem Show. The Eminem Show was just an album that connected with me very early. Like, it was one of the first albums I listened to through and through, right? There's some about the tracks of The Eminem Show that the emotion behind it, but also the symbolism and meaning. And I forget what the skit is called.
The Kiss, I think.
Maybe it is, yeah. Into Soldier. Ugh. Like, and then you have, of course, the big bangers like Till I Collapse and Without Me. The Eminem Show is just a phenomenal listen.
Yeah.
The entire concept of it, he's on stage. It was so good that he tried to do it again with the encore. It didn't work. But I could go listen to that album all the time. What's your number 1 album of all time?
I've said this on video before, but my favorite album is Rodeo by Travis Scott. It really shows our age, I feel like, saying Rodeo is my favorite. But this is when I started getting into hip-hop. Rodeo, I think, was the first hip-hop album I listened to, like, in full ever. And it clicked something in my brain that made me start listening to hip-hop. Oh my god, it's such a good album. There's my favorite song of all time, 90210 on there. Even though it's trap, there's something about the production that no other trap album has hit ever.
Yeah, and Rodeo won't get old like most trap does.
Yeah, there's a lot of non-trap elements infused with it, like pornography, how you have that electric guitar playing in the front. It's so dark, but it's not even trap.
Yeah.
And then T.I., like, doing his
thing.
His thing on there. There's no skips on the album for me. Psychedelic, rock, trap, hip-hop, all fused together in one thing. And just how dark it is. Oh my god, it's such a good album. It's so hard to explain for me, too, why I like it so much compared to other works of his or just trap albums in general. Yeah. I've heard nothing like that before. Oh my god, it's such a good album.
Rodeo is just phenomenal. Absolute bangers and track list.
Yeah.
Oh My Dis Side, 3500.
Yeah. And he has emotion on those songs too. He's like Oh My Dis Side or Apple Pie. Stuff like that. Nightcrawler.
All right, my number 1, anyone could have guessed this as well if you've lost channel, is Kissland. I don't know what it is about Kissland, but holy shit, dude. The atmosphere and world building of Kissland, oh my god, dude. I can't relate to what he's talking about because he's talking about like tour life and stuff, but you can relate to the symbolism that he's saying. And the production on there is phenomenal. You got Professional, his best intro out of any album, I think. Adaptation, Love in the Sky, Belong to the World, Wanderlust. Holy shit. Some of the Weeknd's best songs, in my opinion. And then you finish out the entire track list with, in my opinion, the best Weeknd song ever, which is Tears in the Rain. That song has got me through so much, but I will listen to that song all the time. I damn near listen to it every day, if I'm being honest. That song, the production, Kissland's phenomenal. Kiss Lane's just
Yeah.
it.
That's the thing with our top 10, I feel like, too, that it's like these albums got us through things.
It changed the way you think, like we already mentioned. It got you through things, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What are some of your honorable mentions?
I just have two of them. I have The College Dropout by Kanye. Probably my second favorite Kanye album of all time. I don't feel like it can reach a top 10 though, because maybe the sound is a little bit more outdated than some of these other ones on the list.
Yeah.
The skits fucking suck.
Yeah.
And also I have House of Balloons.
My honorable mentions, Astroworld, 808s and Heartbreak, because that album has impacted me a lot, and IGOR. Let us know what your top 10 in the comments is as well. If you try to do it, it will be impossible because it's very hard. And we'll see you in the next video.